So today I want to talk about something a little bit different. So this is not really a guide per se to like, for example, like how to use this character or what you want to do. But I just want to say, like, if you're a raid player that you've been playing for quite a while, this is going to be like a really weird phase you're going to get into, and that is that your old main characters are eventually going to get switched, and it is going to be a little bit weird because, you know, you built these characters, these are your first characters, yeah, for example, like Kale, and eventually they're gonna kind of outlive their usefulness. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about that, how there are some characters that you can still keep, how there are some characters that you can abandon, and how certain characters have different purposes, and it is a little bit weird to think about. Now, before we get into it, I just want to say, if you guys are new to the game, or if you recently started playing, I'd urge you to click the link in the description, or scan the QR code that you can see on the screen, because you can get an amazing start. And if you guys recently started playing, but you haven't really done much, I'd urge you to create a new account, because it is so much better to create an account with a promo code than to just create an account as it is, like raw, because you're gonna get like a package worth $60, like rare books, silver, and once you download the game with my link, you will get Zergala as soon as you complete tutorial. You will also get Ugo, and once you get to level 15, and best of all, and this is really the best part, because when you're a new player, you got 24 hours to use the starter codes, so you can go into the Monkey King here, for example, to type in, and you can get Sun Wukong, which is a crazy good character, or you can just type in something like Supreme 6, so you can get the Supreme Galak, which is actually something they recently added, and there's a lot more that you can check out. For example, another good one is get Loki, because you can get Loki, super useful for PvP, although personally I would recommend Monkey King, because Sun Wukong can be used for everywhere, for Doom Tower and whatnot. Additionally, and I'd want to thank you guys for joining the clan recently. A lot of people here joined the clan from the videos, and I really appreciate you guys joining. I know it always says 25, 26. I've at least kicked out about 5-6 people from the previous that I've just invited through the regular stuff, you know, to the chat. So we still got a few more spots left. We got some really strong players right now, so we're really pushing it. We're gonna defeat the Demon Lord. We're almost gonna get to the final difficulty. So, something I want to talk about, and this is something a little bit weird, because, you know, your view of the game kind of changes once you start getting into the actual game. And at first you have no idea like what characters are what, so this is completely normal, because when you're a new player, you're going to get characters. For example, I just, you know, didn't like some character's icon, so I sacrificed him. I actually had Geomancer at the start. I didn't like his icon, so I literally just, you know, got rid of this guy. I was lucky to actually pull him back again, because he, you know, carried me through so much. However, there are some characters that are going to be incredibly useful, super useful at the start of the game. For example, Kale. Kale is really the best starter. This is the most optimal starter. I recommend everyone that is starting the game to use Kale, because this guy can get you through quite a lot. He can essentially help you clear the campaign through the Nightmare and the brutal, so you're going to be able to actually farm. But eventually, like, this guy used to be my main guy. I was doing everything with him. I was doing PvP, I was doing Tag Arena, I was doing Doom Tower, pretty much everything. And essentially, like, his usefulness has kind of dwindled down as much as I have actually progressed in the game. So really, at the moment, I'm just mainly using Kale to just farm 12-3 or 12-6. So still kind of the fastest one. I haven't really experimented with others, but it's like 30 seconds overall, so it's pretty useful. But it is a little bit weird, because, you know, these are you kind of start with one character, so you get a little bit attached to them, you kind of really like these characters, and then you spend a lot of time, a lot of money on the gear for them. And of course, if you're a new player, you're going to have like the absolute worst gear out there. Like, this is not the build you want for Kale. Like, I think I built like Resist on him, which is definitely not something you want to do. But when you're starting out, you get some gear from maybe some sort of a drop or some event, and then you just put it on because it's like the best gear. But definitely not the most optimal build. However, interesting enough, I mean, there are some characters that eventually you can just kind of discard. For example, when I started out, my main characters were this guy. This guy, if you got him, this is the most atrocious character. Like, just use him as food. I've unfortunately got him to 60. And I've also added one more, so it's +1. But this guy is absolute garbage. I know I haven't really upgraded him, man. Not the worst character in the game, but totally not useful. So this guy was my main guy, and this guy is even worse. So the Lich, these were my like 2 epics that I had at the start. So this was my main team. I think I got through Brutal on them, and these guys outlived their usefulness super fast. Also, Gallic. Unfortunately, like when I started playing the game, Gallic was my main starter character, and yeah, I got Kale from a drop, and then I upgraded Kale, so I was lucky to actually have a good starter when I only had a few champions. But Gallic is also something you're gonna outlive quite fast. Supreme Gallic, on the other hand, is pretty good, but this guy, not so much. Now, what is interesting is that depending on like the characters you drop in, I mean, obviously legendary characters in most cases are better than the other ones, but it doesn't always matter. For example, like Geomancer is like a mythical type character, but he's only an epic, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, there are some legendary characters, like for example, Razin Scarahide. I don't know, I wouldn't fuse him honestly. Like, I was lucky to get him from a drop, but I haven't really found him useful. I know not the best build, but still, I don't think this guy is that amazing compared to some other character like Belts the Reckoner. For example, Belts the Reckoner has been absolutely crazy. I was surprised how good this guy is. I thought he was just a debuffer, but he has like damage based on HP, so he has a ton of HP, and he hits like an absolute truck. So I was able to actually get through Doom Tower normal, mainly through Belts. However, like, eventually, like, you get some really good characters. So this was my first really good legendary, Tribune Heraclitus. He was absolutely amazing. Like, I managed to get through the Nightmare difficulty campaign with him. I did quite a bit of Doom Tower with him. But I feel like right now I'm getting to the point where I've currently got some other characters that are doing a bit more damage than him. So he's also sort of starting to outlive his usefulness as well. Because, you know, at the start he had really good Resurrect, decent AoE damage, but once you get to like later game, like hard Doom Tower, where you really need good gear, because with like start game or like the Nightmare campaign or the Brutal, I mean, you can essentially just use whatever, and not the most optimal gear, you can kind of push it. But once you get to like the harder game, once you get to the Hydra, to the Chimera on like harder difficulty, you are going to need the more optimal gear. For example, I recently got this character like a few days ago. It was crazy. I got it from like a blue shard, which was absolutely ridiculous. But this character is so amazing. This is finally a character that I've actually managed to build really well, to get over 200 speed, pretty good accuracy, and this character alone has helped me defeat Nether Spider together with Geomancer pretty much like nothing. Just still got a little bit more to build, and I make a video on her, but I recently got her, and now she's becoming one of my main characters. So the point is, like, I started with this character and this, so this was my main team, and eventually you kind of outgrow them, you get some other characters. Interesting enough, Coldheart, I have kind of outgrown her, but she can still be useful. So some of these characters can still be useful for certain things, like for certain bosses this can be pretty good. Also, Armiger is like an uncommon, but he's also amazing. I mean, you can kind of use him, like I'm using him in the Destroy set. Every time that Scarab King guy returns with the max HP shield, so I just use him to destroy stuff. But yeah, he can still be used for certain things, but like your main team that you just push for waves and the Doom Tower or whatever, or for PvP, is definitely going to change. Also, my PvP team has changed quite a bit depending on the speed. I'm also using currently White Queen Ancora for PvP, which ended up being good, as well as Belts. I don't have good speed on him, but she has a decent speed aura, so this kind of works. But also, interesting enough, like Sakea Flametongue, this was my first legendary that I actually got, and I built her. She carried me through a lot. But eventually she kind of outlived her usefulness as well, like not that amazing. So the point is, like, once you pull characters, don't be afraid to just discard some of the other ones. Use them, for example, if you gotta counter someone, or if you're playing live arena, so this helps. But yeah, the sad factor is that a lot of your characters that you put a lot of time into, a lot of resources into, are eventually just going to, just chill here in this for faction wars or whatever, and some are going to be like completely useless. You're probably never gonna use him. Like this guy, I'm essentially only using him for faction wars right now because I don't have another 60 undead. But even there, he's pretty garbage, so I gotta build another undead character. So, as I said, get used to it. Like, be free to get new characters, build them, look at the most optimal guides. Hellhades is a pretty good resource, so you can get, on Hellhades you can find like what builds work best. It also kind of depends on what you want to use them. Like, if you really want to use them for PvP, just focus on getting as much speed as possible, because PvP is all about speed. I mean, most of the game is actually about speed, but for PvP, like, when they got some broken team with like absolute crazy speed, they're just gonna kill you before you can even get a turn. So this can really work well. Also, unfortunately, like, I remember Melga. Melga is still pretty good. I still use her, but I feel like I'm kind of getting, sometimes she's not as useful as I would think. Like, kind of depends on the scenario. Like, at at the early game, she was like beyond OP. Right now, she's kind of like good, but I feel like I could use some other characters for support. Like even Tagore can actually have better resurrected her, but Malga's shield works pretty well as well. So, just a quick little ramble. I don't know if you guys have experienced this. Let me know in the comments if you have actually experienced something like this, because it is a little bit weird to kind of see your main characters get a little less usefulness over time. Now, as I said, if you guys are new to the game or if you recently started playing, I'd urge you to click the link in the description or scan the QR code you can see on the screen and you can get an amazing start. You're going to get Zergala as soon as you complete the tutorial. You'll get Ugo at level 15. You'll get like a whole package worth $60 together with that, and then you can go into the promo codes here. You can type in something like Monkey King, so you can get Son of Wukong, and this is a character that you can essentially use for the entire game, or Supreme 6 for Supreme Galak, which is also a good addition. Additionally, if you guys need a clan, we got a few more spots left, so I'd really appreciate you guys joining. If you got over 50,000 power, we're doing pretty well right now, but we still need some strong members, or any members right now. You're going to get strong over time anyway. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.